You will recognize this top White House staffer as Jared Kushner, senior advisor and son-in-law to the president. Here we have Jared Kushner and his super lawyer, Abbe Lowell, who has been representing Mr. Kushner in his dealings with Congress and the Russia investigation and so on. These are the leading news reports over the past 24 hours that say Jared Kushner got a top-secret security clearance last year, only after the president ordered that Jared be given one, over the objections of intelligence officials who review these kinds of things for a living. But now check this out. This is new tonight. If you know somebody who says they don't believe in evolution, show them this. Here are the changing statements from Abbe Lowell, Mr. Kushner's very well-regarded lawyer, about how exactly his client, Jared Kushner, got his top-secret security clearance. Statement numero uno, yesterday to the New York Times. This is the first one. Quote, in 2018, White House and security clearance officials affirmed that Mr. Kushner's security clearance was handled in the regular process with no pressure from anyone. Regular process, no pressure, no story here. That's statement number one. Then tonight, we got statement number two from Abbe Lowell. Quote, whatever the accuracy or not of recent news stories, we were not aware of nor told of any request for or action by the president to be involved in the security clearance process. That's statement number two. While we were wondering who was included in the we there, yet another statement came in from Jared Kushner's lawyer, Abbe Lowell, the third one of the last 24 hours. And this third one is notably focused on Abbe Lowell himself. Quote, whatever the accuracy or not of recent news stories, Mr. Lowell was not aware of nor told of any request for or action by the president to be involved in the security clearance process. Again, officials affirmed at the time that regular process occurred without any pressure. They told me it was regular process. I mean, Abbe Lowell seems to be saying there, don't ask me, ask them, ask the White House. Mr. Lowell was not aware of nor told of anything the president might have done about ordering up a top secret clearance for Jared Kushner over objections. Can we actually, I don't know if we can do this graphically, but I know, did we try to cram all of that evolution onto one page for a second? Can we do that? Tiny print? Okay, yeah. So in 24 hours, Jared Kushner's lawyer has had to go from no, dad didn't intervene to get Jared a clearance, statement one, to okay, maybe dad did intervene to get Jared a clearance, but if so, Jared had no idea about that, to statement number three, okay, maybe dad did intervene to get Jared a clearance, but if so, Jared didn't tell his lawyer about that. In fact, his lawyer might have been lied to about this, which is the only reason his esteemed lawyer might have ever lied to the public about it unwittingly. Jared might have known, but Abbe Lowell, super lawyer, he was in the dark, don't blame him. It's 24 hours, one guy, all statements on the same thing. And as reporting has continued on exactly this point, this is looking bad in terms of how the White House is handling this story. It's also raising questions about whether or not Jared Kushner gets to keep his super lawyer, who, among other things, has been helping him with all the Russia stuff. I mean, lawyers do tend to break up with their clients if and when they discover their clients are lying to them, especially if those lies cause the lawyer to make false statements to the public that they then have to put out multiple evolving corrections for all in one night. And that little part of that story is Jared Kushner's to figure out right now. The bigger problem for the rest of us is just ahead. Stay with us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.